Welcome to this GiftWorks video. My name is Jonathan Lehman, and this is the first video in a 7-part video series on GiftWorks events. GiftWorks events is an optional add-in that can be purchased, and it works with any of the versions of the GiftWorks fundraising software from GiftWorks 2008 and later. Most nonprofit organizations organize and run at least one event per year, and if you're watching this video, most likely you run events or you're planning to in the near future. Events are a platform for connecting people to your mission. GiftWorks Events takes you through all the stages of an event. It's not designed for any specific type of event, but it's designed to handle the core requirements that are necessary to plan, document, and evaluate most types of events. It allows you to enter as little or as much information as needed for the event you are running. The key with GiftWorks Events is that working alongside GiftWorks, it allows you to track and analyze how your events and your donors interact. It helps complete the picture of how your supporters are helping your organization to fulfill its mission. In this first video, I will give a quick, fast-paced overview of the entire process to set up an event. This will provide a framework for the rest of the video series, which will go into more detail for particular areas within GiftWorks events. So let's get started by signing into GiftWorks. If you've installed the GiftWorks Events add-in, you'll have an additional option on the toolbar called Events. You click on Events, it takes you to the main landing page for GiftWorks Events. Most of the activities necessary to get started with GiftWorks Events can be initiated from here. You can manage events, add an event, or send an event mailing. It gives you the list of your latest events. Once you become familiar with GiftWorks Events, most likely you'll click this option. So for now, whenever you click on Events, you'll go right to the Manage Events page. Manage Events page is a place where it lists all your events and their statuses. You can filter them by category, status, and name. If you click on one, you get information about it. You can hover over here, get additional information. You can add an event from here. Lots of activities you can initiate from this page. Before we get started, I'm going to go to the Settings area and show you that within Settings, there's an Events area. You can click on Events. I have different information lists I can maintain here. I can set up my own event categories, statuses, locations, coordinators, and invitation groups. I can view and manage license information and do some other things, but this is where I can set up those information lists prior to setting up an event. So let's go back to Events. I'm going to click Add an Event. You can do it here or over here. I'm going to click Add an Event. We're going to set up the 2009 Winter Banquet. A name is required. I don't have to put a description in, but I can put some sort of description in. I have some options specifying here. I can specify the category for the event. In this case, I'm going to say that this is a fundraising event. I could add a new category here if none of those apply. I always hold this at the Dutch Country Restaurant. This is just an informational field, the maximum capacity, but I don't think I can handle more than 240 people in the facility where I'm at. The status of this event. I can set up these status however I would normally, the statuses that my events would go through. It was part of my process in my organization. I can set up those statuses however I need them. In this case, we're going to say open. Click next. You have to specify at least a start date. In this case, I'm going to say the start date is the 28th. I'm actually going to put in the time. And since I'm putting in the time, I'm going to put an end date and say it's running basically on the 28th from 6 to 10 in the evening. I can put an RSVP date in, which I'm going to say is the 18th. In this case, really, the only thing the start date is what's going to be used on reports for selection by date and so forth. The only date that's really required is the start date. So I click Next. I can review my information, confirm it's okay. I could click Finish here if I want, or I could add more details. I'm going to click on that so I can show you. This is sort of setting up the shell for the event. I could also specify the coordinator. I can put an income goal in here. I'm hoping to... This gives me some reporting capabilities. I'm hoping to raise $15,000. I'm hoping maybe at least 200 can attend. Some goals I have. I can specify a campaign which will allow me to compare or include there's a report that would include both donations against the campaign and event dollars. In this case, I set up a campaign called 2009 Winter Banquet. I can put any notes in here also if I want. Click Save. So now I've sort of built the framework for that event. It's called 2009 Winter Banquet. If I double click to open it or click on it and click View, this kind of gives me a summary overall of what I've set up so far about the event. And there's some graphical information here comparing this event to other events. I have tabs where I can specify additional information about this event. I can enter as little or as much as I want to. The first thing we would typically do is add an activity. To give you an example, for this type of event, an activity is anything that you would order or is ticketable, something you want to track that people can actually reserve. Some way they're going to participate in this event. So in this case, we want people to be able to order meal tickets. And we can put a description if we want. The meal tickets are $25, and we have 240 of those. This is not a sponsorship, or we don't want to restrict quantity. We'll review that in future videos. I'm going to add a customizable reservation field, something that I just want to set up that makes sense for this type of activity. I can create a list drop-down called Meal Choice, because I want them to be able to select whether they want chicken or beef. Add that. So I define that activity and how many are available. I'm going to add another activity, and this one's going to be table sponsorship. And they can sponsor a table, which helps defray the cost for other people. It's $200 to do that. There's 30 tables. There's 30 that's available. It's called a sponsorship activity, so I'll check that. I'm not going to add any reservation fields for this at this point. So I'll set up some activities. Next thing I want to do is identify the participants. The participants are people that we want to be involved with the event at some level. It's not necessarily, they wouldn't necessarily attend the event. They might sponsor the event. They're anybody that would in some way participate in the event. So we need to add them to our participant list. So I'm going to click Add Participants. I can add them from a mailing list or a smart list. I'm going to add them from a smart list. I created a smart list of those that have attended previous events. I can choose to add them to an invitation group. An invitation group is a way of segregating my participant list for mailings and other purposes. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to add them to my attendee invitation group. So it's going to be 75 people. I click Finish. It's going to add them to my participant list. It's going to add them as a default status of invited. The assumption is we're going to invite them to do something, and they have not attended. I'm also going to add participants again. I could add a single participant, or I could add participants from a list again. I'm going to add them from a list again. I'm going to say I want to add some. These are people that sponsored previous events. I'm going to ask them again. I'm going to add them to my sponsors invitation group, and I'm hoping maybe they'll sponsor some tables at this event. So I'm going to add those. You'll see it keeps a list of all the groups that they've been added. Mark was added to both groups because he was actually in both of the smart lists. Some people are just in single groups. So then my next thing would be to actually send some mail to invite them. So I could go and I could send mail by invitation group. I could say I want to send a mailing for all those that you can see. I could pick invitation groups, all those that I'm hoping to attend. I could go through and next I'm not actually going to complete this mailing, but there's the 75 people. I could actually pick my letter and say go ahead and I'm going to run a mailing for those donors. So now that we've set up some activities, we added participants, we've maybe sent mailings for both to invite people to attend, maybe we sent a mailing for those we want to sponsor. Presumably now at some point, hopefully we're getting phone calls or some sort of responses, and people are going to actually start ordering activities. So let's say those are called reservations. So we're going to add a reservation. We have Pete Brooks called in, and he wanted to order a meal ticket. So it brings up a reservation, and it defaults to today's date. Put some notes in if we want. We can add as many activities as we want. We're going to add that he ordered one meal ticket for himself, that he's ordering chicken. He ordered another meal ticket for his wife, where she's ordering beef. And he actually sent a check in with it, so amount paid was $50. Default is that it's going to change his participant status from invited to accepted. So assumption is if he made a reservation that he's accepted our invitation. We can also add a reservation for a sponsorship. We have an organization that responded to our request for them to sponsor a table, and they said they would sponsor a table. So we search for them, put some notes in again. We could add as many activities as we want. Somebody could sponsor a table and order a meal ticket. In this case, they're not going to attend the banquet. They're just going to sponsor a table. So we do that, click Finish, and Save. So now we have two reservations again. That's going to change their status from invited to accepted. They accepted our invitation. So now we set up some activities. We invited them. We set up some participants, invited them. They made some reservations. We can also track expenses, as many expenses as we want to track. So basically, let's say we got an expense for $1,000 was down payment on the facility. So we can enter as many of these as we want. Track them by date. We can also enter tasks, things that we want to keep track of that we need to get done. We know we want to make a phone call to give the final count, and we want to do that pretty close. So after our RSVP table, let's say the 21st, and we're going to assign that to Carl to make sure that take care of. We can add as many tasks here as we want. So we're tracking expensive tasks, totally optional. As we're building this, we're getting more information over here about this event. Now, so we've done that. We can go back to our send mail. We could send some reminders. We could send a reminder based on all those that have ordered meal tickets. We could maybe send a mailing to them, reminding them about the date when it's coming up and so forth. So don't forget, we can remind those that are sponsored tables. There's various things we could do at some point. We're going to run it. We're going to hold our event. And maybe at the event, we keep track of those that have actually attended. We keep a list of people who actually showed up. We could come back then later and manage this participant list. This is all information we might want to track for reporting, or to give us information for this donor's activity with our events, with our organization. So let's say we have this list, and we can check off all these people, and we can edit them, and we can say they all attended this event. So we change their attendance status to yes. So you can see we can manage this participant list. It builds information about these donors. And then when it's all done, we could send a final mailing. We could send a mailing to all those that maybe that they accepted. And we could send them a thank you letter. And so again, this would take us through the mailing process. So you can see a lot of that stuff drives from that. As much information as we want to put in, we can update that participant list as much as we want to have for future reporting. This kind of gives us a high-level, quick overview of the process you would go through to set up an event and manage it, and hopefully you'll watch additional videos for more information. Thank you for watching.